Now that our little one has arrived, let's celebrate with a baby shower. Since it's your first grandchild, we're hoping for some extra love in the form of generous gifts." With a smug smile, I presented an envelope containing a sum of money, only to be met with a sharp rebuke. "Only $300? Spare me the insult. That won't even cover a week's worth of diapers." Her words hit me like a sudden gust of wind, leaving me stunned and trembling. I'm Olivia, a 57-year-old office worker. My husband, John, manages an auto repair shop alongside our son-in-law, Mason, who's married to our eldest daughter, Ava. They specialize in luxury cars, and business seems to be flourishing. With the luxury car dealerships clamoring for their services and the hefty repair and inspection fees rolling in, Mason frequently quips, "You've got the business acumen down pat. I could learn a thing or two from you and step up my game." Mason and Ava tied the knot half a decade ago. Originally an ordinary office worker, Mason harbored a deep passion for automobiles. He pursued his mechanic certification and apprenticed under John. Although we don't share a roof with our daughter and son-in-law, our paths cross almost daily now that Ava has taken on a role as a secretary at her husband's garage. Our residence and their workshop may be separate, but their proximity ensures frequent visits. Sometimes I drop by and the four of us enjoy each other's company. Mason's affable nature and approachability make him feel like a natural part of our family. It's as if he's been our son all along. We do have a biological son, but ever since he ventured out for his career, our encounters have become scarce. William trails Ava by 2 years in age and never quite warmed to his father's profession. Upon graduating from college, he opted for a conventional corporate job. In his elementary years, he'd often proclaim, "I'll run Dad's shop when I grow up." Yet, as he matured, his aspirations took a turn. Running a repair shop won't cut it in today's world. I'm not keen on being coated in grease either. John never harbored explicit hopes for William to inherit the business. However, when William unequivocally dismissed the idea, a tinge of sadness crossed John's face. John had assembled a team of employees and found himself contemplating the road ahead. With Mason's arrival, he found himself envisioning a clearer future. If there were no heirs to the business, he resolved to give his employees a heads up, allowing them time to secure alternative employment. However, with Mason's involvement, he saw the prospect of leaving the enterprise in capable hands. Ava was caught off guard by the prospect of Mason succeeding her father, yet she couldn't help but feel a mix of surprise and relief as she inquired, "I always knew Mason had a passion for cars, but I never anticipated him stepping into my dad's shoes and taking over." But since William had no plans to carry on, it shouldn't pose any issue, right? My husband's business is thriving, and it seems like Ava is constantly probing me about whether William will eventually seek ownership of the shop. Ava's concerns aren't unfounded. There's something raw about William's wife, Emma. They tied the knot just 2 years back, and ever since they first visited our home to introduce Emma, she left quite an imprint. Upon their arrival, Emma's first words were, "This place has a very blue-collar vibe, doesn't it? Is this typical of self-employed folks' homes?" My husband and I were so stunned that we couldn't find any words to reply. Ava, who was also present, appeared to be seething with anger and swiftly fired back, "Who do you think you are? What kind of remarks are those to your future in-laws?" Yet Emma stood firm, asserting, "I'm just speaking my mind. Please refrain from picking on me even before we're officially married." I attempted to diffuse the escalating tension between the two women and tried to proceed with the introductions for the impending marriage. However, William interjected, saying, "Just because we're getting married doesn't mean we'll be living here or relying on you." It became evident that William wasn't pleased with Mason's involvement in his father's business and his close relationship with us. Since Ava and Mason tied the knot, William seemed intent on putting even more distance between himself and our family. Mason chose not to join us that day out of consideration. However, William couldn't resist making a snide comment, remarking, "Looks like Ava's husband decided to skip out today, huh? Probably didn't want to embarrass us all with his usual greasy appearance. I'm just glad he's not here." Despite his earlier claims that he had no interest in taking over my husband's shop, it was apparent that William might harbor some resentment towards Mason, who wasn't a blood relative, potentially becoming the successor. His words ignited a surge of anger within me, and I couldn't help but fire back. Are you feeling jealous of Mason now? You were the one who adamantly declared you had no intention of taking on your father's business. My typically mild-mannered husband intervened, trying to diffuse the tension. Let's not allow anger to consume us, everyone. Since William's fiancée has taken the initiative to introduce herself, let's strive to get along. Despite my husband's attempt to maintain peace, I found it increasingly challenging to contain my frustration. Yet before I could say anything more, Emma interjected. I don't particularly care. I never had any intention of getting along with you anyway. She addressed us with an air of condescension, speaking down to us as if we were beneath her. Despite beginning to calm down at my husband's soothing words, both Ava and I found ourselves growing irate once more. We exchanged stern glances with Emma, but she seemed to derive amusement from our agitation. You common folk are so easily riled up. Coming from a family of privilege, I can't say I've ever experienced anger, she chirped, proudly flaunting her upper-class background. According to William's previous accounts, Emma's father held a prestigious position as the director of a large corporation. It was apparent why she viewed us as commoners. The prospect of such a woman becoming our daughter-in-law weighed heavily on both Ava and me. Even my husband seemed to recognize the untenable situation. He proposed to William and the others, perhaps it's best we conclude our meeting for today. After all, this was intended to be a simple meet and greet. The two of them hastily departed, leaving a lingering tension in their wake. Even after their departure, Ava was still ablaze with anger. Who does she think she is? Boasting about her upper-class lineage just because her father holds a directorial position in a company. She's overstepping her bounds. Even my husband, who had been attempting to pacify us, appeared taken aback. William certainly has his hands full with that one. I'm apprehensive about what lies ahead, he remarked, letting out a heavy sigh. He recounted to us the challenges Emma had presented during the wedding preparations. On the eve of the wedding, Emma deliberately paid us a visit and remarked, "Please ensure you scrub yourself clean, future father-in-law. And do make an effort to dress appropriately, future sister-in-law. You must be aware of your own appearance, right? After all, you're not exactly the epitome of beauty. At least try to present yourself decently." Her words dripped with sarcasm as she spoke. I felt a surge of anger rising within me, ready to retort, but my husband interjected calmly, noted, "We'll ensure there are no disruptions." Emma appeared momentarily taken aback by his response. It seemed she had anticipated a more heated reaction, but my husband's composed reply left her at a loss for words. With a dissatisfied expression, she exited the scene, unable to provoke the desired reaction from us. The following day, at the wedding ceremony, Emma stepped forward in front of our family and delivered her usual barbed remarks. "It's embarrassing for everyone to associate with your relatives, so kindly keep them in check. And as for this pervasive oily smell in the vicinity, it's all thanks to you," she sneered, unable to resist her habitual snidiness. Upon meeting Emma for the first time, Mason wore a fascinated expression and remarked, "I had heard some rumors, but she's even more intense than I imagined." Normally sporting long, unkempt hair and a beard, Mason had tidied up his appearance for the occasion, dressed sharply in a suit, leaving Emma with no grounds for complaint. Though, he added with a hint of mischief, "I kind of wish he'd shown up in his usual work attire, long hair, and all, just to see Emma's reaction." Following the wedding, we received no word from William at all. Concerned, I voiced my worries. "I wonder how William is holding up." My husband, sounding resigned, replied, "No news is probably good news." I was worried too, but reaching out might only rile up his wife. Let's wait for them to reach out to us. During their previous visit for the marriage introduction, it had been made abundantly clear that they wanted minimal interaction with us, making it difficult for us to initiate contact. 2 years passed without a single word from William. Emma's behavior at the wedding continued to be a topic of conversation among us. Whenever my husband, Ava, Mason, and I gathered for a meal, the subject inevitably arose. I don't think Emma even knew who I was. No one bothered to introduce me to her. She probably saw me as some rough relative, Mason remarked, eliciting laughter from us. It would have been quite a sight if you had shown up in your typical work attire, messy hair and all. She might have thrown you out, I added, chuckling along with everyone else. The tension at the wedding had been so palpable that Mason never had the chance to introduce himself to Emma. Nevertheless, Mason had seamlessly integrated into our family by now, becoming like a cherished son to us, even in William's absence. Then, out of the blue, one day, heavy snowfall blanketed the area, causing chaos on the roads as cars became stranded everywhere. At my husband's workshop, a surge of requests flooded in from customers needing their cars towed, keeping everyone bustling with tasks. The team split up duties to handle the influx efficiently. My husband and Mason embarked on a job for a foreign car dealer, a routine task for them. However, upon their return, both wore expressions of despondency. Concerned, Ava probed Mason about their mood, but he brushed it off with a casual, "It's nothing." Taking his word for it, I didn't dwell on their demeanor. A few days later, William and Emma unexpectedly appeared at our doorstep, Emma cradling a baby in her arms. At the sight of the sleeping infant, a smile spread across my face involuntarily. Ava, who happened to be visiting, shared in the moment, exclaiming, "Emma, you've had a baby." She reached out to touch the child, only to draw back abruptly, recoiling from Emma's hand with a sharp cry, "Don't touch her with your greasy hands. The smell of oil will rub off." The sight of the baby momentarily swept away my concerns, but it quickly became apparent that Emma remained unchanged, even in her new role as a mother. As tensions thickened, Emma, true to form, remarked, "Now that our little one has arrived, let's celebrate with a baby shower. Since it's your first grandchild, please be generous with the gift money." Her words laced with the usual sarcasm. I hastily gathered $300 into an envelope and passed it to Emma. If I had foreseen the occasion, I would have prepared more thoughtfully. However, her sudden visit left me unprepared, with no time to gather more funds or inquire about her preferences. Snatching the envelope from my hand, Emma swiftly inspected its contents, her voice rising in indignation. "Are you kidding me? Only $300? That won't even cover the cost of diapers." With an uncharacteristic burst of volume, my usually composed husband abruptly reclaimed the envelope from Emma's grasp, his voice thundering, "You will not disrespect us like this. Is William even the father of that child?" His words echoed with a forcefulness I had never witnessed in him before. His assertion about the child's paternity left me utterly bewildered. The intensity of my husband's outburst drew Mason from the rear of the room, his expression marked by confusion as he entered. Yet upon catching sight of Emma, Mason's countenance shifted to one of shock. In turn, Emma, upon noticing Mason's presence, betrayed a flicker of alarm, swiftly attempting to conceal her face. Upon spotting Mason, my husband challenged Emma, "Does seeing Mason jog your memory? You surely recall him from our discussion in your fancy minivan during the heavy snowfall. You were voicing your complaints to Mason. I doubt you've forgotten his face." Despite my husband's pointed remarks, Ava, William, and I remained perplexed, all equally taken aback by the unfolding situation. My husband's next words only added to the confusion. "As the president you were with at the time is doing well, please convey my message. If he intends to engage in extramarital affairs, he should choose a time when it's not snowing, lest he be caught," he stated cryptically. At the mention of an affair, tension gripped Ava, William, and me. We exchanged incredulous glances, struggling to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Emma swiftly rebuffed the accusation, her denial tinged with evident fluster, a stark departure from her usual demeanor. "What are you talking about? The heavy snow? An affair? Your words make no sense," she protested, her composure visibly rattled. At my husband's cue, Mason retrieved his phone and began navigating through it. Meanwhile, my husband proceeded to fill us in. During the heavy snowfall, Emma and some other individual found themselves stranded in a luxury minivan. Mason and I went to their aid. At first, I didn't recognize Emma, but I found it peculiar that there was a baby present in the vehicle. I was heavily masked, sporting sunglasses and a helmet, so she likely didn't recognize me. However, Mason, with his distinctive long hair and beard, would have been memorable even with a mask on. As my husband concluded his explanation, Mason chimed in, "We have everything captured on our car's dashcam. She can't deny it." He extended his phone towards Emma, who gasped upon glimpsing the screen, quickly averting her gaze. "Ava, William," and I peered at the screen in astonishment. Sure enough, the footage showed Emma and an unfamiliar man berating Mason. "We have a baby on board, and we're already moving. Hurry up." Emma's voice boomed from the screen as my husband and Mason worked to secure chains onto the opulent minivan. The two figures were caught whispering to each other amidst the commotion. My husband's expression darkened as he spoke. The dash cam may not capture sound, but I heard every word. William is foolish to believe that child is his. You two said, well, Emma, you're the fool for discussing your affair right in front of your father-in-law without even realizing it. In the midst of his revelation, William erupted, Eva, what are you saying? Is this true? Emma attempted to brush off the accusation with a forced laugh, insisting, of course it's a lie, though her pallid complexion betrayed her true feelings. Adding weight to the accusations, Mason interjected, didn't you mention divorcing William at the opportune moment? I heard you say it. You even mentioned ensuring child support. You seemed quite pleased about it. With each word, Mason unveiled more of the truth. Emma's agitation mounted, her hands trembling as she cradled her crying baby. Seizing upon the infant's distress, Emma pointedly blamed us. Look what you've done. The baby's upset because of your cruelty. I've had enough. I'm leaving today, she declared, storming out and leaving the flustered William behind. His face flushed with anger, William simmered in her wake, gradually regaining his composure once Emma had departed. Dad, what you said earlier, is it true? William sought confirmation from his father once more. His father silently nodded, prompting Mason to elaborate. Emma's lover happens to be the president of a company that does business with our shop. Word has it from some dealers that Emma accompanied him when he came to purchase a car. Apparently, he opted for a minivan because they were expecting a child, he divulged, providing intricate details. Overwhelmed, William lowered his head into his hands, sinking to a crouched position. Later, a DNA test confirmed what had been suspected. The child was not William's. Promptly, William initiated divorce proceedings. Meanwhile, Emma, defiant in her demeanor, scorned the idea of marrying a commoner like William, exclaiming, that was my mistake. However, the DNA results unveiled another twist. The child's true father was not the president, but another man, further complicating matters. It appeared Emma had been involved with yet another individual, one who was already married. In the ensuing divorce proceedings, William sought compensation from Emma as well as from her two lovers. Despite Emma's family flaunting their supposed high-class status, it was revealed that they were not as affluent as they claimed, resorting to borrowing money to settle the compensation in the divorce proceedings. Emma's affair with the president stemmed from her desire for a luxurious lifestyle. However, her hopes for a remarriage with him were dashed. Instead of tying the knot, she found herself facing a claim for compensation for breach of engagement on his part. Following his split from Emma, it appeared that William had developed a deep-seated distrust towards women. I'm never getting married again, William declared, opting to live independently. For my husband and me, the dream of our first grandchild dissolved. Yet our spirits were swiftly lifted upon learning of Ava's pregnancy. As a couple, we burned with joy. In a playful jab at my husband, Mason quipped, don't worry, the baby's definitely mine. With the arrival of the baby, we'll be moving in with Ava and Mason. It looks like we're in for an exciting chapter ahead, I remarked, anticipating the lively life awaiting us.